Folks, welcome back to the Get Wide podcast. Really do appreciate you being here. If you are new here, the Get Wide podcast is essentially where usually I'm cutting wire and doing eWaste stuff. I've just had my new walkie stacker arrive, so now I've got two out there because the other one's got to get picked up. So I actually don't have space to be sorting all this stuff because they're coming today to finalize that handover. So I've decided today we're just going to do a whole bunch of clothing again. Check out this piece. This is pretty cool. Unfortunately though, it is fake. Super cool. I'm a big Wrangler fan, but anyway, just thought I would share that. So today I want to talk about a topic, and we have touched on it before, and it's basically around how your comfort is stunting your ability to grow. Now, we are going to talk on the lens of business. If you don't know how these episodes kind of work, we basically just talk about a topic. I do some work, so you can get comfortable, we can get cozy. We'll probably go for 20 minutes or so. But we're talking about how comfort can stunt your growth and ability to grow. And in the lens of business, and in this case, I guess reselling. I'm going to get a box and we'll start getting into it. But I'm really not prepared for this because I don't have my pen and paper here either. Let me grab that. All right, got my pen and paper now in terms of tracking this box. So this is box 18 out of 19, I believe it is. So we're going to get into this, but yeah, so the topic today, I'm not following any notes, not going through any specific details. I really just want to talk about it on a basis of my understanding. Now, if you are new here, we've been building this business for 5 years. I started at home. I started purely actually just as a flipping business. You know, we were flipping media, pop culture, video games, anything I could get my hands on. And, you know, that was really good. Like, I loved that. But post the pandemic, that's when things got a little bit interesting. I soon realized that it was not going to be feasible. And before I moved into my first storage unit, I actually got a really good opportunity. I purchased must have been about 3,000 media items, someone else's storage unit, and that really, set a difference for me, and it got me into a storage unit. And that was working really well. I wasn't doing clothing at that time, but I remember the big jump from me being comfortable at home, not having overheads. I did not have overheads. I was making so much more profit. But when I started crunching the numbers around the time and effort that I'm doing, I don't have good systems in place because I'm doing it across multiple rooms. If I get the storage unit, it's going to be about $450 a month, and that's a lot of money. But then, after doing the math and realizing look, this is going to be a risk. This is going to be a step up. It's going to be a challenge to what I've already done. But I think it's going to help us grow the business. And of course, ever since then, it's just been a continuous just go. And of course, it's been quite expensive and overheads have just kept coming. But that's because I've kept growing. And I guess I've kind of come a little bit addicted to the growth. And I just want to say very clearly that this is not an episode to say you should be just grow, right? We've done an episode around growth versus profit. If you're trying to scale, it can be very hard to profit at the same time. So you definitely need to take that into account. But what I do want to talk about is, and there's a point of that in a minute, what I want to talk about is how when we get comfortable, it puts us in this box of not wanting to change things because it's scary, because we're going to ruin a good gig. A good example of this first is when I was working the 9 to 5, I had a really great job. I was consultant, doing project management, been there for 8-9 years, and a good paying job. I was on $160,000 a year, and really good perks, great team, great people, good job security, and a path forward. But there's always been that inkling, and I've spoken about this so many times, inkling in the back of my mind that I want to have my own thing. I wanted to have a podcast. I wanted to be able to build a business. I wanted to be my own boss, not knowing what that would look like and how to do that. However, I had been listening to a lot of different people doing similar stuff, which was SPI podcast, Pat Flynn, and we had Tim Ferriss with the 4-hour work week, and Solopreneur Hour by a few others, and a whole bunch of just getting inspiration, motivation, and encouragement for it. And eventually, I just realized during the pandemic, this is when I actually made the leap, that this is the time to do it. Obviously, it didn't really work out well with the pandemic, but if not now, then when? So I did cold turkey and just went for it. But I was so scared to do that. But the reality is like, because I was able to get past the fear of not being comfortable, it's now put me on this snowball approach of, I don't like being comfortable. And by not being comfortable, it's meant that we've been able to absolutely just grow so quick. Now, you need to be very clear, and I say this, with an open heart, that, how I build my business is very different to how everyone else is. And it's not me saying you should build your business like me. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm just building my business how I want, enjoying the process, learning along the way. If I can help other people, I will, but I'm not here to tell you how to do it. So please make sure you understand that. But for me, it's like, well, I knew what I wanted and I know where I want to go. So therefore, if I'm able to achieve that, and it means taking more risks and getting, uncomfortable, then I'm happy to do it. Now I am anyway. So let's backtrack a little bit. So my question to you is, what is stopping you from growing? And I think a lot of the time we say we're not getting enough sales, or not finding enough stock, or not being able to, see the consistency that other people see. The trouble with that is we're blaming those things on external factors. You're blaming it on can't get good source, can't find great stock, not getting enough sales. You're blaming it on eBay, or suppliers, or where to get it. When we take ownership of things and put money where our mouth is, and really put it together to money and action together can get us a really, really good outcome. Can also mean we lose a lot of money too. It's a risk, right? When I started to get into clothing, because I realized that, just going from the op shop route, doing non-clothing, I wasn't able to be sustainable in reaching the profit and revenue goals that I wanted. So I'm like, I have to do something else. And that's when I took the risk to dive into clothing and full on pivoted and just went cold turkey. And, I purchased $1,500 worth of jeans, I think it's $1,500, $1,200. And just figured it out. Like learned how to process it, learned how to wash it, learned how to photo it, learned what a photo board is, did the measurements, what do I need to do, how do I need to do it, how do we need to wash it, what are the requirements? Like I got uncomfortable to figure it out. And then after that, I was so comfortable in doing it, right? And so much comfortable that I was able to put a process behind it and then hire another staff member to do it for me. So that's why the comfort part for me. Now, if I'm getting too comfortable, I know that's when we're ready to level up again. And like, if anyone's been following my journey since day one, you'll know that as soon as we get kind of like we go like this, and then we kind of plateau in terms of I've got more time, or things seem to be going okay, that's when I'm like, stuff it, let's get, let's just go for it. And that's what I've always done. And that's been really good for me. But coming back to the point of asking you, what is stopping you from growing? And when we start blaming on, let's just talk about sourcing. Can't find good source. The amount of people that aren't willing to purchase things and do work surprises me. Everyone wants a spoon-fed source, right? And I get it. I want it too. Sure, I would love to get stock that I don't have to process and do, but that's not how you're going to get ahead of other people. The way to get ahead of other people, or yourself in this case, if you're just competing against yourself, is you need to do things that you've never done before. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten, right? You cannot be so fixated on expecting things are just going to change if you're not willing to make the change come to life. If you're not willing to make those adjustments, find out what's required to get the results that you want, then you will never get them, right? So yesterday, I did a big deal. I sold all my media players, DVD players, Blu-ray players, VH players, cheapest chips. I've been offering to people to buy this for a long time, probably last 3-4 weeks, and people umming and ahhing, it's too much work, or it's just excuses, right? But then it's the same people complaining that they don't see the growth that they want to see. And I don't understand, when I talk about growth, I think there's two different definitions. You got to define what your growth is. Like, what are you trying to achieve? What do you want? And my growth is, I want to dominate. I want to be up there. That's really my ambition. But, for some people, it might just mean you want to earn an extra $500 at the bottom line, right? An extra profit, this is all good growth amounts, right? You just want to see sales increase so you're able to get that cash flow happening. All good. So I've been trying to sell that. No one's interested. The guy was here. I said, hey, mate. He's like, oh, how much? Now, I understand how much work is required in these things. So I gave him a real good deal. I said, if you buy all of these right now, it'll be this much each. He's like, you serious? I said, yeah, man. I know, it won't always be that. But today, this is what it is. I'll set you up. You can see what it's like. If you like the stuff that that I'm selling you, when we have more, maybe it's a bit more, right? We come to an agreement. Because I know how much work he's got to go through. He's got to go through test it all. He's got to figure it all out. He's got to, fix it, repair it, all those different things. And he did the deal on the spot. And he says, oh, mate, this is great because he's taking a risk, right? But if he can get one or two fixed, they will pay for the amount he paid for the entire thing. And that's where you've got to be willing to not doing this blindly. You've got to have a confidence level of understanding and skill set of knowing how you can apply yourself. But by doing that, it gets him ahead. It now means he has more stock. For me, I buy all this stock. You can see how much is around me. So much stock, right? Because one, I like that because it's going to force me to figure out how to make this work. Right, this is the most stock I've probably had just lying around at any point in time. Still got another box there, got 3 bales there, and I'm about to purchase another 5,000 pieces, which will come in a couple of weeks. And do I need that? No, I don't. But what it gets me thinking is it gets me thinking above my current thinking. It forces me to have to change. It forces me to have to adapt. And it forces me to think, okay, so we can process 1,000 items a month. If now we're going to have this much more, how do we process more of that? How do I solve that problem? And when we give ourselves pressure or give ourselves constraints, that's how you're able to create innovative solutions or find solutions that you did not know existed. Or that you probably did, but you just didn't know you were capable of finding. And that's something I learned in consulting is you gotta adapt, you gotta adjust, you just gotta figure it out. If you just give up and then you blame it that, oh, I couldn't work out, you're the only one to blame, all right? If you're not willing to, have fun, let yourself loose, enjoy what you love doing, be yourself in doing all of this, you won't grow either. Because this might challenge a few people. I think people are scared of being themselves because it's going to make them uncomfortable. You would think we would be comfortable being ourselves, but unfortunately in today's society, we get so scared of what other people think of us. And, on the first side, I don't like people judging me. I don't think anyone likes anyone judging them. But the more I've realized in becoming who I am and building this business, I'm learning more about myself that, the more I do this, I'm doing more of this that is a blend of my own passion and my own, dreams and aspirations and the things that I love to do and see. And when you put your time and effort into the things that you love to do and you're passionate about it, it makes things natural. Now, I know some people don't like, you're saying, oh, you need to find your why and find your purpose and all those things. I'm not here to give you a soul-searching guide. What I'm trying to say is if you want to be a better version of yourself, right, you have to get deep and real and understand what it is that you want. Who are you? What do you like? What are the things that trigger you? What are the things that hold you back? Why aren't you able to achieve things? Why are you scared of public speaking? Why are you scared of doing these things? Right? You have to confront the fears. You have to confront the things that make you feel like you're not good enough, right? And that is dealing with discomfort. But by dealing with that discomfort, you're able to now start to feel yourself, feel confident in yourself, be at peace, and be willing to now go do something that maybe you haven't done before because you've had fear holding you back. But, oh, this is a good pen. This is Australia. Nice. Nice little patch. Yeah, so when you've been able to let go of those things that have been holding you back, you can naturally go do what you want and thrive at it, because there's no, misconceived ideas, preconceived ideas. It's just you rocking, doing what you love. And when you can apply, that's why I say, if you know your why, you have your purpose, and you have your confidence figured out, when you apply that to business, it just makes things work, right? And so many people talk about this in so many different ways, and I understand that sometimes it resonates differently for everyone, because we hear things differently. We hear what we want to hear when we're listening to something. But my point is when you apply that ability to get uncomfortable, to challenge things in how you do business, that's when you'll start to see amazing results. Because if you can comfortably challenge things in confidence, knowing that you're willing to figure it out, you will thrive, simply because the only person that you're competing against will be your current self. And because anything that I do in this business is going to elevate me as an individual, it helps me grow, work through insecurities, work through challenges, confidence levels. I become a better version, the business becomes a better version. Even me having to let go as I hired staff. I'm not here to say you need to hire staff, but if I wanted to achieve the results I wanted to achieve, I know I can't do this by myself. But it also is like, even if I have the ability to do it myself, I could work more hours, I could do more work. I don't want that. That's not what I want, right? So when you know what you want, you're able to determine how that looks, and then you can figure out how to make that happen. But the difference between the two is the discomfort in the middle. So when you're able to get through that discomfort, naturally you will see bigger and better results. It's like, I remember I was so scared to do a 20% sale on my eBay store. It's like, oh, what if someone comes through and buys all my stuff? At that point, I was so attached to my stock. And then I remember, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a 30%. I'm going to do it. And then now I do a 50%. And I remember when I did my first 50%, I had someone say to me, actually it wasn't even me, I think I was reading it on someone else's comment talking about my store. And they said, oh, I can't believe Chris is doing 50%. Like, that's crazy. Like, what if someone comes through and buys it all? Please, right? And then I had Aussie Nurse Flipper. He came through and he said, oh, aren't you scared of someone coming through and buying your stock and reselling it? I said, no. I mean, I'm selling my items for that price because I don't want the items. I want to see the growth. I want to get the money back, and I want to put the money to work. Why are we scared of selling our items? Like, why would I be scared? Yeah, sure, I'm scared of maybe someone, leveraging my listings and, drop shipping them and stuff, because then it's creating a false, identity of my brand. But, from other perspective, if someone wants to buy my stuff and then go sell it cheaper, sell it higher, great. We're all winning. My best customers are resellers. I've got another business customer that buys the iPhones. I've got people that buy clothes from me. Like, why wouldn't I want people to buy my stuff? If they can be successful and I'll be successful, they'll come back and then we'll make more money. But before I could do that, I had to get comfortable with working out why I was so held onto these items. I was worried, like, I'm going to lose money on something. And like some you do, you lose money on stuff, right? That's just the part of business. And some things you absolutely make so much money on. So you have to be willing to take a chance on yourself and risk those things and be vulnerable with, okay, maybe if I sell 30 items, we sell about 26 at the moment per day, and maybe 6 of them I lose $1 on. Sure, I'm down $6. But if the rest of them I've profited $20 to $30, that's 20, 200, 400, 400, 500. We get up to between $400 and $600 profit, and that's netted out the other ones. I've got the cash for the back. I can put that stuff to work. It doesn't really change the needle much. $6, I don't care. If you sell something for, $25, but you've lost $1 on it, and you're getting, $24 back, one, you're learning that was a bad buy. You probably shouldn't buy that again. So, intentionally don't go out to buy stuff to sell for a loss. Number one, right? But secondly, it's kind of like you live and you learn. It's better to get some of the money back now than, have to then take a higher loss or write it off, right? And me learning that, I've had to learn that the hard way and realize that, okay, some of these things were were bad buys, so this is how I have to make up for it. And, you know, one of the things that I found very surprising in the last week is how more comfortable I've become with getting myself into uncomfortable situations. So, you know, we recently did the big deal where I purchased 1,500 items. That was quite expensive, but, you know, we've paid that now, we've processed all that. We've still got a little bit left, but it's pretty much done and dusted. And then I had my supplier come last week, and we sat down, and he's offered me a deal of 5,000 pieces, which is a lot of money. And I went and checked it out, sussed it out, looked through it all, and, you know, I was kind of like, oh yeah, this is good, I'm great. And I remember calling, called Carla, I think, or whoever I spoke to, might have been my mum or Carla, and I was chatting through how I'm more concerned about how comfortable I've become with doing these bigger risk deals. And I think it's because I'm now in a position where I'm comfortable to know, like, I'm going to figure it out. Like, I'm not putting sure, it's risky, but, you know, there is a backup plan in the back of my mind. I know how to get out of it. I know it's going to be a lot of hard work, but I also know that the outcome of this is going to be, like, game changing. Like, well, should be. Like, you know, I can't determine the future, and the past doesn't guarantee the future either. But based on our work ethic, based on what I like to do, and based on how I like to operate, I can't see why it wouldn't work out. And that's because I'm willing to take a bet on myself. I'm willing to back myself. I'm confident in how we do our operation. I'm also willing to learn. I'm teachable, and I'm excited to see what it can create. Friction enables you to find better, you know, results, better outcomes. Because if you've got friction, you fix the friction, you solve the problem, you get the solution, which means you get the outcome that you want. Like, to me, why would you not want to do it? It's like with the eWaste. It's like with this. It's like, send as much as you want. Like, I don't mind. We'll figure it out, right? And if you can figure it out, you then get a really beautiful solution. Of course, it comes with challenges of, like, lower profits, you know, lower cash flow. It comes with, you know, maybe a little bit of chaos. It comes with maybe things moving so quick. They're all things that make people uncomfortable. They're all things that people don't like to handle. Now, that's in a business perspective, but, like, if we pull it back to ourselves as an individual, like, it's the same stuff, right? What friction points are in your life? What things in your life are holding you back? You're not willing to have a conversation with someone. You don't want to tell someone how you feel. You're scared that they might think of you different. You don't want to wear a jacket because someone might diss you. You know, you don't want to change your hair because what will people think? You don't want to hang out with that person because, you know, maybe they're not a cool person in a broader group. You don't want to post a photo because you might think you're insecure. You know, you might not want to put your art out there because what if no one likes it? You don't want to do a YouTube video because you might only get 10 views. All these different things. Like, I get it. I really do get it because I've been there. But when you look at it I look at it now from a hindsight perspective, it's pathetic of how much we put into letting other things control us because we don't want to be uncomfortable. When we get through the discomfort, when you pass through that uncomfortable stage, that becomes normal. It becomes easy. It becomes just your everyday. So then naturally, you're able to just do that. Like, we're doing this normally now, right? I've been in the warehouse for 6 months. The first month is like, oh my gosh, what have I done? We've paid the bills every time. Okay, it's a little bit harder. It's a little bit more of a challenge. But, you know, I've got more time than I ever have. I've got a beautiful team, amazing team that does the majority of the work for me. And now I can work on other things and work on how do we build the business more? Because we've got things working. Things are just operating. And yeah, some would say that's maybe buying back your time, but it's really come down to me having to get over so many things and be willing to let go, be willing to try things, be willing to take a bet, be willing to get uncomfortable. So let's backtrack before we wrap it up. The things you need to think about is if there are excuses or challenges or frictions or issues or reasons why you're not growing in your reselling business or just growing in life, list them out. Put them into a list and understand how many of these are external things that you're blaming. You're blaming a platform. You're blaming there isn't good enough quality sourcing. There isn't enough stock, or it's too competitive, or the fees are too high. all those things, right? I'm talking business at this point. And out of all those, when you then weigh down, it's like, how many of these that you're blaming on external factors can you now actually adjacently or pivotally or parallel or, adjust to and accommodate to actually just do something a little bit different, get a little bit uncomfortable to make them actually work, right? How many, right? So a good example of this is like, you can't get enough stock to source. Are you just going to the same place every week, every day, or every month, and you're not willing to travel an extra 10, 15 minutes to go see if there's other stuff? Are you willing to get on a phone call and ask people, hey, can we do some business? What can you do here? Are you telling people what you do? Are you willing to get yourself out there to tell people what you do? Are you willing to get yourself out there, drive an extra 30 minutes because maybe you can find something better, right? The platform. You blame the platform that it's not good enough. Are you listing enough? Now, I know it's not about you have to be listing, but are you listing stuff that people want, right? If you've got something that has a broken zipper versus something that has a zipper, why are you listing the thing with the broken zipper versus the thing that is with a zipper that is going to sell probably 5 times, 10 times, 20 times quicker than the thing that has a broken zipper? Don't get me wrong. If you've got a $250 jacket that has a broken zipper, you can list it, you can probably still sell it for $100. But if you've got a $30 item and it's got a broken zipper, no one's going to want to buy it for $15 because it's just not worth their time. They might just buy a new one. So think about it that way. Why are you doing things that self-sabotage your business, right? There's so many things that we're not willing to do because it makes us uncomfortable. Yet when you realize and you go do those things, those are the things that have probably actually moved the needle in the right direction. I'm going to leave it there, folks. Otherwise, we're just going to go around in circles. If you have any comments, any thoughts, if you want to continue the conversation, more than happy to do so. Jump down below. We should be back here next week doing it all again. Appreciate you and have a wonderful day. Ciao.